AEW has a chance to beat WWE. And I'm not saying that AEW is going to be as big as WWE. I'm certainly not saying that they are going to be able to beat WWE's main roster shows in the ratings. And I'm not saying that attendance week to week for Dynamite and Collision is going to surpass that of SmackDown and Monday Night Raw. However, what I do believe is that right now, given the lack of inspiration and confidence that fans have in the WWE storytelling and in the WWE product, there's a chance for AEW to win the narrative war, something that they haven't done for a very long time. If we go back and look at the peak of AEW from 2019 to 2021, a lot of the reason why AEW was able to flourish was because they came during a time where wrestling felt bland. You had WWE, who was on top for nearly 2 decades at that point, by themselves, who were not pushed by any real competition. The likes of TNA had tried. Ring of Honor was never even in the same stratosphere as WWE, but WWE and Vince McMahon had been putting out a product that was bland, inspirationless, and lacked the flavor of wrestling that many fans really wanted. And that is why you saw a rise in the amount of people who were clamoring for stars like Kenny Omega, like the Young Bucks, like even other Bullet Club stars like Finn Balor, who ended up joining WWE. Fans wanted something different. They wanted a taste of a different flavor of ice cream, and that is what AEW provided them. You fast forward to 2022, however, things like Brawl Out, things like Tony Khan having some controversial tweets, and even the bloated roster, which led to too many people being signed while at the same time none of them appearing on TV, led to this perception that AEW was a mismanaged company that wasn't able to put on the product that people wanted. And eventually in 2023, they began to see a decline in the perception that people had about the product. No one had ever said that AEW was necessarily a bad product, but the output that they were doing in 2023 and 2024 was certainly not up to par as to where it used to be. And you combine that with injuries to major stars like Kenny Omega and eventually the firing of CM Punk, AEW lost a lot of goodwill with the fans. And at the same time, WWE had recently gotten rid of Vince McMahon. The Janelle Grant lawsuit led to him leaving the company. Triple H was put in charge of creative, and Triple H immediately started to put on a product that felt inspired, that felt like it was logical, that it made sense. Gone were the days of rematches on Raw for the sake of having rematches. Gone were the days where the script was rewritten last second, and enter a time where people felt like there was a lot of potential for WWE. And if we look at 2022 and 2023 especially, that certainly was the case. The Bloodline story absolutely killed it and filled the hearts of wrestling fans across the world with joy. Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso, as well as Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns reigned supreme, and a lot of that was Triple H's vision that played out. We also saw the rise of Cody Rhodes and other stars like Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky, and it felt like WWE could do no wrong. And you add in the arrival of CM Punk and everything that means, not only having one of the biggest stars jump ship from your competitor to you, but also do it in a way where everyone kind of knew the perception that CM Punk had about AEW. It wasn't one that was really that pretty. He even went on in a shoot interview in the lead up to WrestleMania 40 talking about how he was not exactly thrilled about his time with that company. And that for AEW may have been rock bottom. At this point, WWE is too big to be stopped. It is just going to make money. It is going to draw fans at a rate that is unprecedented. But right now in 2025, we are seeing some ripples in the goodwill that fans have with the product. you not only have storylines like the John Cena heel turn, as well as the involvement of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, causing fans to pause and even claim that the product isn't that good. You have a plethora of stories leading up to the build in WrestleMania that did not live up to the potential they had, whether it be Jey Uso versus Gunther, Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton, or the aforementioned John Cena and Cody Rhodes feud. At the end of the day, it feels like WWE has gotten complacent. It feels like WWE is going through the motions, and it feels like WWE is putting profits and aura over story. And when you have that situation, it is going to cause at least a part of your fan base that may have come over in the last couple of years or come back in the last couple of years to stop and maybe check out what the competition is doing. And if we look over at AEW, they are focusing on their emerging stars. They have Kenny Omega back. They are about to hopefully crown Will Ospreay as the champion at their biggest show of the year at All In. And it feels like the feeling is truly restored. And if you're AEW and Tony Khan specifically, you need to take note of that. You need to understand that there's a lot out there to be had. There's a lot that you as a company can do in order to win that perception war. Because unlike WWE, you don't have to answer to anyone else. Tony Khan is the final boss of AEW. Tony Khan is going to do whatever he wants. In WWE, Triple H has to answer to Ari Emanuel. He has to answer to the board. He has to answer even sometimes, apparently, to The Rock. But if you're Tony Khan and you have full control over your company, you can do whatever you want. And with that control, he really needs to focus on telling fantastic stories. That means less of the Death Riders and more of Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, stars like Toni Storm, Mercedes Moné, and others. It is time for them to get back to what got them to the dance. A focus on something that is different. A focus on something that prioritizes storytelling in the ring and fantastic and compelling characters on TV. That is why people got into AEW. That is why fans believed in AEW. And that is why I really do believe that AEW has a chance to once again win the perception war amongst fans, and in that sense, beat WWE. Will they do it? It is up to one man, and that man is Tony Khan. But hey, I guess we'll see.